Hi, everybody. I am Aja Net, and welcome to this week's session of Healing from the Inside Out. And today I have a very special guest with me, Dan Harrison. He's a former certified financial planner who turns course creator and business mentor to wellness experts and health professionals online trying to grow their practice. He was a top financial advisor in Canada to some of the largest asset managers and trained hundreds of people over his 15-year career. So he then decided to quit corporate finance and he started the Soulful Sales Company back in 2019 and started scaling his own virtual money marketing coaching practice. I think I think I got that right. It's a
Yeah,
mouthful. I know.
it is. You got it right. I left corporate in 2016, went online as a money coach, had to figure out all this marketing stuff. And then I actually sold my money coaching business in 2019 and started Soulful Sales. And
Uh,
now we just work exclusively with health and wellness professionals and experts and helping them avoid some of the pitfalls that I made when I made the transitions online and building my own business.
You're someone I really look up to out here. So I've been online for a while, and of course, there are some people that are not forthcoming when it comes to helping people online. So
Yes.
you're very aligned with who I am as a person, and that's why I really wanted to meet with you today because you are really value based. You deliver a lot of value at a very reasonable price, and your goal is always to help the healthcare professional really market themselves in the best way. And
Totally.
it's really not easy to go from people coming to you all the time where you're not out there looking to all of a sudden trying to market yourself. It's a
Right.
very different world.
Very different world. And it's yeah, well, the cool thing about doing marketing that's based on values and like psychographics is you tend to attract like-minded people, really awesome people. And so I love that you're in our community and that we've gotten to share lots of time together in different capacities and containers over the years. And yeah, I think that there's lots of different ways to build a business online, but the one that I actually got this from Frank Kern. So he's like an OG, like a legend. But it always stuck with me. And he's like, the best way to get a client online is to show them that you can actually help them by actually helping them. Like, imagine that. Imagine that was your marketing. Imagine that you just did that and that was your marketing. I was like, yeah, that makes it way easier.
A
And
lot of people don't get that though.
no, a lot of people are, uh, yeah, I'll bring this in right into the conversation right away. So one of our new programs, it's called Quantum Coach. And the reason that people don't get it is because they're living a very linear life and they have a very linear perspective of things and they're kind of stuck in a transactional trap. I'll do this and then I'll get paid this, or I'll help you if you pay me. But there's an entirely different way of looking at life and business and money, and it's more of a quantum type of viewpoint. And I can give you a very tangible example. It's uh, the way I think of things, like on some level, we're all connected. And I know that if I help you, and then in the next moment, I get a client over here, it would be foolish of me to think that those two things are not connected, even though it doesn't appear to be or doesn't seem to be. But if we're all connected and it's, I don't know, you call it whatever you want, karma, goodwill,
I believe in that.
juju, it's like it if you can, think of things a little bit more from a quantum level instead of linear and isolated, then it opens up a totally different world, a totally different way of thinking, a totally different way of playing the game. And I really think it's just like a way more abundant world. You're able to give more generously, you're able to focus on, the things that really matter. And yeah, the money or success, like it's just like a byproduct of this different way of thinking. Uh
A
yeah.
lot of people are in that transactional, and I do give a lot of value. I did even before I met you, and
Yeah,
people just didn't get it. They're like, "You're giving everything away. How are you ever supposed to make money?" And
right.
I would say to them, if this is all I know, then I have bigger problems than money,
Right.
because you can teach so much more. And you turned me on to a book in that community, A Course in Miracles.
Oh, amazing.
And
I love that.
it really changed a lot of the ways I thought about things because, we're taught different things growing up, but it
Yeah.
really opened my eyes to a lot of things and made me feel better about giving regardless of what people said because
Yeah.
I knew that we are all connected, and
Yeah.
once you understand that you're helping your sister and brother, basically it makes it a lot easier to want to give more. There are
Oh,
people that do take advantage of kindness. They see it as weakness, but you have
sure.
to give anyway.
Yeah. That's, of course. Yeah. That's part of it. That's okay. Yeah. There's going to be givers and takers. You need the takers.
So what made you choose health professionals though? Because you really are the expert in finances. You've told your story about, well, not maybe to hear, but you've told
Yeah.
your story about how you were in debt and you knew that
Yeah.
you could, which for people to hear, it gives them a lot of hope that you
Yeah.
went from debt to a very different scenario, just saying, well, I know that the one thing I'm good at is sales. So
Yeah.
what can I sell that I really enjoy?
Yep.
So, so I mean, that
You got it.
was a big leap there, right?
Yeah. It was really, it was this. So I was $500,000 in debt and I carried that debt for almost 13 years.
Wow.
And I carried it like a shackle. And mostly what was attached to it was a lot of shame and embarrassment and guilt and a lot of low negative self-critical emotions were attached to that debt. And some people think that the debt is heavy, but I would say the emotions were heavier. And the uh what happened was I was in the finance system for so long that I could eventually see enough of the the dots that I was like, oh man, this entire system, the whole system, the way that it's set up is literally set up to keep me in debt. This system that doesn't actually want me free of debt. And if you start to see just how the taxes work, how the debt-based economy works, how inflation works. It's basically like you know, the average North American pays 42% in tax regardless of your income. When you calculate all the sales tax, carbon tax, income tax, property tax, all the taxes, that's not even like high income earners. Everyday people, 42%. And then the average North American is also paying 30 to 40% in debt payments. So between debt and taxes, almost 70 to 80% of your income is going to government and banks. And then we think that we're free. It's like, well, something ain't
No,
right here, right?
but
And so,
no.
so once I could see it, I was like, well, I can't keep propagating it. So that's what had me quit. And then quitting, uh, basically I kind of started to share the truth about things. And as I did that, I also started to see different opportunities. And then to answer your question about health professionals specifically, my wife went back to school and she was a registered nurse. And then, but she always wanted to be a therapist. And so she went back to school. became a therapist. And when she was doing her practicum and bringing to me like kind of all of the contracts and opportunities that she was getting, and I was kind of like reviewing those opportunities, it's like, oh man, this system is almost as bad as the financial system.
Hmm.
And I could just see there's so many parallels to me. Health and wealth, there's so many
They're
parallels.
connected.
Yeah, they're completely connected.
That's
And so I was just like, it started by helping my wife, and I helped her build a website, and I helped her do a private practice so that she could keep all of the money instead of giving it away to the clinic. And then I was like, well, I really like these kind of humans, so I'm gonna work with these people. And then yeah, and then COVID kind of exacerbated that, and a lot of people lost work or wanted to create their own, businesses, and so I just went to work serving them, and now that's what we do, and we're building the communities of the healers of the people with the real medicine.
so
Yeah.
you're in school. That's one of the places people can find you, school.
Yes.
And
Yes.
good old Alex Hormozzi's in there hanging out.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool because I love Alex Hormozzi. I love his
He's
stuff.
he's
Um,
great.
I heard you won his games, and
We did.
I was like, wow, cool stuff. So that's not easy to do to get to level 7. It's not easy to do. So, um,
Yeah.
that's pretty great. So
Yeah.
where are
Thank you.
you when you look at your future, I mean, I know why you're building your business. I mean, you
Yeah.
have children and you love your
Yep.
kids. I mean, you could see that. I see a lot of pictures of you with them in the community. You share that, you
Yep.
know. So what does it look like for you when you look at your future, what you're going to do from here?
Yeah. Great question. Um, so every 6 months, I kind of chart that course, and it seems to shift. But there's a few staples that are like on there, and personally, the the big goal is like for our family is creating sovereignty and freedom. And that looks like having a farm. That looks like being um, growing our own food, being self-sustainable, um, having animals, chickens, getting my hands off a keyboard and into the dirt, creating time. I feel like if time and money was not a thing, I might become a singer and a dancer. I don't know. But I
Can
suspect
you
that it
sing
would
and dance?
I can't, but I really
Neither can
want
I.
to. I would love to. Um yeah, I would love to. So I think that, I could see a world where I mean, one of the things that's cool, this kind of ties into school, and that there is a new model, like a new way of building an online business that um, can really have deep impact and serve a lot of people in a way that doesn't burn you out, like that's very profitable. And a big, maybe pivot or insight for myself was when my second daughter was born. I realized I had I don't know, I'll call it a conversation with God. But she was born and I came into my office and I saw all these wires on my office from, cameras and stuff. And they kind of looked like chains to me. And I could see they like in an instant, like they kind of looked like chains. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I saw my surf skateboard that I bought in Mexico, and it was like I don't really ride it that much. But when my eyes fell on it, there was like an audible in my ear, and it was just, "What kind of father do you want to be?" And I was like, "Oh, do I want to be the one chained to my desk, or do I want to be the one who's free to live life?" Actually,
Enjoy that time. Yeah.
yeah. And so that was a big pivot for us, where we stopped focusing so much on just um, profit, but focused more on time. And then what was weird about that is the more we focused on unlocking time by building systems and hiring really amazing people, um, we became more profitable. So it was,
That's how it works.
yeah. And then I think that there's been this kind of cool evolution, since going online 6 years ago or so, or I guess longer than that, but building this business 5, 6 years. Um, in the beginning, there's like a focus on money, right? Because it's like you need money, you got to get that, and it's you need that as the foundation. And but then after you have that, then it goes to time. And then you realize like, oh, time is a much more valuable currency than money. Money you can get more of, time you can never get more of. But then after time, there's like the quality of the time. And that's where I'm playing more so now, which is energy. And in the same way, like that you would look to optimize or unlock more time, the game now that I'm playing, which is really interesting, is the in the energetic world. And there's kind of this full circle moment because I'm surrounded by a bunch of health professionals and healers, and I'm learning at such an exponential rate from all of them. I'm like, oh, how can I optimize my meat suit? And
Yeah.
and oh my gosh, I'm going in an Ironman, sleeping more than ever, and even though I'm sick, my body recovers fairly
Quicker.
quickly, and there's and so now the game becomes really about optimizing for energy, which then filters down into how I spend my time, which then ultimately allows me to create way more money. And it's kind of, yeah, it's been this
The
interesting,
continuum. It's a continuum.
yeah, and I don't know if it's like an evolutionary thing or if you like, because in the beginning I couldn't imagine focusing on energy. This is like, I gotta eat, I gotta go make some money. But then I wonder if even if I was really hungry, no, I just answered my own question. In that stage, you have to have money. Yeah, you
You
can't
have
be.
to have money, but I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of myths out there online. A lot of people sell the idea that you'll have more time, you'll have more money, and you'll have more freedom. But you have none of those things when you start because
right.
everything
Oh
you
my
have
gosh.
has to go into growing your business because I
Totally.
had less time, less money, and certainly less energy than I ever had ever working in the real world. And I
Totally.
continued to work in the real world. So
Yep.
I thought, well, I must be missing something here because they're telling me I should have more, and I'm way on the other side of this here. So what am I doing wrong? But
Yeah.
I find that I am a lot more focused on my energy and my time because
Yep.
for a while there, when you're trying to build your business, even though you're in health, you know, years ago when my health changed, it was because I wasn't putting that focus on me. I was that yes person taking care
Yeah.
of everybody else,
Right.
and you can't be that 300-pound nurse taking care of other people with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth and hungover. It just doesn't work.
Totally.
So, I don't want to ever get back to that person. And it could
Yep.
really happen easy because you start missing those exercises, you
Uh-huh.
skip a meal and stuff like that. And it all changes. So
Yep.
recently I've really been refocusing more of that energy back to me because I felt like I was spending time in places I really didn't need to that weren't really
Yeah.
essential for my business. And you
Yep.
don't realize how much of a time suck they are until, an hour goes by and you're like, oh my God, I could have been doing this, this, and this. So
Totally.
I get it. I get it. But I would like to be at that place where it's all energy and
Yeah.
it's all really just aligns and flowing and that the money's just coming. But
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you
there
what.
yet, Dan.
I'll tell you what. I mean, maybe this is the real truth. You never get there. You never get there. Like, because even though, I look back and I'm like, oh, well, we're way further than we were. But then I still am looking forward. I'm like, well, we're nowhere close to where we want to be. And I don't know if that ever changes. Because like
No.
if you're growing, you're kind of always like, what's the next, I'm gonna keep growing. And I think, there's some.
He'll be back. I think his system went down a little bit.
Oh,
Are you back?
I'm back.
Your connection's a little
Can you hear
unstable,
me?
let's see. Yeah.
Oh
You
no.
froze a little bit there. You or I did. Mine looks good, but who knows? It could be mine
Uh,
too.
could be
It's
mine.
okay. But you were saying
Uh,
we always keep searching. We are born creators and we're
yeah.
always looking for that next step.
Yeah, we're always going to be growing. Two practical things that have helped be able to create more flow and abundance. And it's one is like being able to think in terms of systems, which I think a lot of, and to your point earlier, a lot of experts or employees, experts who want to build their own business um, have been in an employee role and mindset. And then they go to start their own business and then they end up working longer hours, making less money, and wonder like, well, what's so great about entrepreneurship? Like I thought I was,
Exactly.
I
I'm
thought
still
I was,
working.
yeah. But the so it's all in the systems. It's because a lot of employees or people who try to make that transition ultimately end up just creating another job for themselves that is less and has them working more. But if you build a system, then that's actually how you create the freedom that entrepreneurship can offer. And there's a couple books that kind of come to mind, but one is The E-Myth, Michael Gerber, really helpful for framing like how to think in terms of systems. And then another one is Who, Not How. So a lot of coaches and experts, myself included, are knowledge junkies. We want to learn, we want to know how it all works, right? How does it all work? How does it all work? And a big unlock for me was realizing like, oh, I don't have to know how. I could just hire somebody who knows how. Ah, okay, great. I just saved myself as well, like focusing on like, you in the beginning you have to build your thing, but then at a certain point and
You
pretty
have to give it
quickly,
away. You
yeah,
have to
yeah.
give it away.
Yeah, you have to invite people in and hire people who are smarter than you and better than you and about 12 years ago, my whole life changed, and actually probably why I am a big proponent of school and community is because I think it was 12 or 13 years ago. I went to an event. What I was going to say is when I was talking to Vishen on the beach, I asked him like, "What's the secret? Like, how did you build this kind of a business? It's amazing. Like, bring amazing people together." And he's like, "Hire really smart people." And I forgot about that. But then like 10 years go by, and I was like, "Oh, that's what he meant. That's what he meant.
You need
Hire
people
really
smarter than
smart."
you. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
in my circle, there's not a lot of people smarter than me. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. They're gonna kill me when they hear that.
That's funny.
So I'm really surprised that you don't do mindset because mindset is a big part of what you teach the coaches.
Uh,
That
I can, yeah.
when it
I,
comes to money, like they have to, really build that relationship with money and stop chasing
yeah.
it and be comfortable where they are to get to where they want to go. So mindset is a big part of what you teach, whether you try to or not.
I've had a huge mindset shift, I guess, or like awareness. Um, 15 years ago, I started working with Bob Proctor. I worked with him for 3 years, who's like the OG of abundance mindset and like how to thinking into results, the winner's image, all those programs. I did them and I taught them and I studied them um, and I learned from one of the greats. And then I was like, okay, thanks, Bob, but I need to go make some money now. Thanks for all the mindset stuff. Uh, and I was like, I'm going to go be in finance and I'm going to go learn sales and I'm going to go learn marketing. And I learned all these skills and had all these experiences. But just to come back to what Bob was saying at the very beginning, that mindset is everything.
It
Because
really
like,
is.
and I said that 15 years ago, but I didn't know it, if that makes sense. Like I said it, but I didn't have the lived experience to know what the hell that even meant. And now I'm like, oh man, Bobby P, you were right. All those years, like I get it now because you literally create your own world. It
You
doesn't matter
do.
this. Yeah, everything is just created between your ears, the way you see, the language you use, the image that you have of yourself, and nothing changes until that does.
And for some people, that's the hardest thing to do. A lot of people, even with weight loss, they don't
Totally.
want to do that inner work. And they think
Yeah.
that it's a physical problem, and it's really not. It really is in the mind. It's the things they're telling themselves on a regular basis. And
Yep.
you try to tell them that, and they're like, no, no, this is here. And I'm like, no, no, it's in here. If
Yeah.
you don't feel good about yourself, then there's no reason for you to work better for yourself, right? So,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah. It's exactly the same as like, and again, another parallel between health and um, wealth. It's like you might look at obesity or overweight the same way that you would look at debt. And on a surface level, somebody might say, like, oh, you have debt. Well, you should do the debt snowball, or you should just spend less money, or you should. But if you don't actually ask the question, like, well, why do you have debt? What's the story behind that? Why? What's the belief underneath that that had you spend the way that you did, that had you cause the debt that you have? If you can't address the root, you'll just end up recreating it the same thing. And then the
Again and
same
again.
same thing with weight, same thing with illness, same all of it. Yeah. There's like there's an entire inner infinite world that we barely are present to. And yet somehow we don't blow everything up. But like there's
That
like a
it's amazing. It's
it's
amazing because we live in a vacuum in comparison to what's really available to us,
oh
you
my
know.
God. It's
So
wild.
I liked that about the Course in Miracles when he was talking about how everything that we learn is really just not true, that we're taught to think of things in a very
Yes.
negative manner. And when we
Yep.
shift that to the positive in it, how your world opens up. And I was sharing that
Totally.
with some friends, and they kind of looking at me and they were like, well, where do you get this book? Where do you get this book? I want to read how this is positive. I said, I'm telling you, you're gonna love the book.
Amazing.
Yeah, and they're all
Amazing.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it changes you. So I
It
don't want
really
to take
does.
too much of your time because I know how busy you are.
Yeah.
But just tell people where they can find you so that when this airs, I'm going to put your links. This everything goes to YouTube first and then goes to the network. So it's going
Amazing.
to be on YouTube, and you'll probably dance between my channels because you really are building community and doing all those things.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, to find me, so Instagram, the Dan Harrison, is my account, but mostly, I spend most of my time inside of school. You might end up talking to like an AI bot version of Dan on Instagram if you message me. But I spend a lot of time in school, and we have a community in there called the Health Coaches Community. And yeah, that's where I am for now, Instagram and school.
It's great though because you're not dividing your time. I am a nut and I'm everywhere and it's not working.
Yeah, keep it pretty
I'm
simple.
yes, it's very simple. So
Yeah.
if you could give one piece of advice that
Mm.
to the audience to help them along their way, whether
Yeah.
it be in life or in business, finance, what would that be?
Oh man. Well, there's a mantra that helps me navigate uncertainties. And I think whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're going on a weight loss journey, whether you are just a human with a goal and you're looking to like go after something that doesn't yet exist, I think that's a courageous endeavor and like the point, not for the goal, but for like who you would become. But in that process, there inevitably will be a space where you will be uncertain, you'll be filled with doubt, uncertainty, and you'll require faith. And um, in those moments, the only thing that there is to do is surrender to the moment, breathe, and remember you're like alive, and just remember to breathe and feel whatever is present for you. And if you did nothing else, I know it sounds so simple, but I really think that in that state, when you're surrendered, you're breathing and you're present and you're in your body and you're feeling, you will get divine downloads, connections, insights, inspiration, the missing ingredient, the the direction, the next step, the light. Uh, and you'll develop a relationship with something that can't be seen or touched. And if you do that long enough, you'll get to live life with a constant companion. It's like a beautiful life. Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that. It comes with me everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
I want to thank you so much. I want to thank the audience for showing up today, and thanks so much for being here. I really value you for what you're teaching, and
Uh,
just as a person, you're a really cool guy. Very
uh,
humble, but very cool.
uh. Thank you so much. Well,
All
you
right,
too.
guys. Good night.